I I found this page in my notebook when I was looking for a clean page. I did this video. I don't know if I did this video. I've done 2 Batman videos since I wrote this. What the fuck is a tie-in game? Point is, by the way, Copper, this video is not for children. Um, I'm looking through here trying to find a clean page, and by the fact that I have a marker and my notebook, I'm pretty sure you guys can tell exactly what we're about to get up to today. Flash, savior of the universe. But yeah, the Flash is back. We're in the middle of Crisis on Infinite Earths. When we're done with Crisis, I will do a video about Crisis because it's a fucking mess so far. I will also probably do a thing about all the crossovers. I don't know. I want to make more videos so that I can make more money. But, Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, pretty big staple in the show. Majorly important, I would say, right? Yet nothing that's happened with his character has really made any sense. So I just want to talk real quick about the timeline of the character. So, this point is the future where he is originally from, and this point is, are those level? No, they're not. Is 15 years before the events of the first season take place. All right, let's do our best to connect this. Oh Jesus, I fucked that all the way up. All right, so I forgot what I was gonna say. Okay, so Eobard Thawne is from this point in time, correct? Right. Then he travels back to this time with the intention of killing Barry Allen before he ever becomes the Flash. Right? I will also say that about there is where season 1 takes place. You can put season 2 there, whatever. It's season 5 down here. We'll put Crisis on Earth X down here. Okay. It's half of a football. So he travels back here with the intention to kill Barry Allen. It doesn't work. He kills Nora Allen, and he therefore erases the Flash from that timeline, which also gets rid of the Speed Force, nullifies his abilities, and prevents him from going home. I want to put a pin in that because I'm going to come back to it when I get to season 5. But, so already we've kind of got something that doesn't make any sense. He's a professor, right? He's a doctor in quantum theory. Why did he do this in the first place? Didn't he know that he gets his powers from the same dimension that Barry does, and if you get rid of that dimension, you can't go home? I guess. But in season 1, they find out, you know, that his name is Eobard Thawne, that he's descended from Eddie Thawne, which is a made-up character that could have just been Malcolm Thawne, whatever. Malcolm Thawne actually would have been a lot better. But Eddie kills himself, which erases Thawne from the timeline. But nothing changes because it could be hypothesized that that black hole that opens is a result of the timeline trying to correct itself. But that's not what happens in this show. It's never been shown to be like that. Whenever something majorly different takes place in the timeline, things just change. And whoever caused the change has the sole memory of the timeline as it used to be. A black hole doesn't open and swallow up the planet. That black hole was spilt over from the time portal that Barry opened to go back to the past, which also, for some fucking reason, was a space portal and went to Earth 2. Whatever. Also, about that, Jay Garrick's helmet comes through the portal, right? And Thawne sees it and he's like, that's my cue to leave. Has he seen that helmet before? Because here's the thing, right? He can't be from a future where all that Earth 2 stuff happened, because that Earth 2 stuff didn't happen until such time as he wasn't, you know, around anymore. That's where his timeline ends. He can't be aware of anything that took place after having been erased. Because what? Like, I'm really hungry. uh, I'll get to season 2 and how dumb Zoom's plan is in the future, because I really just want to keep making more videos about the Flash. I'm Clark Kent. Where was I? Right, so he gets erased from existence, but nothing happens that would immediately correct the timeline. So for some reason, everybody still has memory of it, and Harrison Wells is like, blah 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 blah. I killed Nora Allen, and then Henry gets out of prison. Simple stuff. You get to season 2, and the Reverse Flash returns in episode 211. The Reverse Flash returns, and the question, comes up: how is he still here? We erased him from existence, and the explanation given is that he's a time remnant. But the definition of what a time remnant is changes over the course of the show. The real explanation of what they say is that this Eobard Thawne is from this time, not this time. He's from this time. He's traveled back to this time in hopes to learn the Flash's identity and where he's from. This is kind of hinted to always having taken place, because it's not like it's his first trip there. It's not like it's the first time that version of the character has been to that time in the infinite amount of timelines. Because he says, I finally figured out what time period the Flash is from. He obviously went there with the intention to find that out. So it's very easy to assume that was always meant to happen. For some reason, though, him being in the past for too long creates a nexus, and it nearly kills Cisco. That doesn't make any sense. They really just put that in there so that they could get Thawne out of the series again. But as I said, he's from this time. He's traveled back here to learn about the Flash so that he can eventually make this trip back here in the first place to kickstart this whole timeline. So it's a Eobard Thawne that comes from before a time where he was erased. Doesn't make sense, but I'll take it. Whatever, I don't care. But what's very important to remember is that the Eobard Thawne from this point in time, all the way up to this, is played by Tom Cavanaugh, because he's Harrison Wells. When he came back here, he stole Harrison Wells' face so that he could build the particle accelerator so that he could give the Flash his powers earlier and give himself powers again so that he could go home. That was his whole plan. Give Barry powers, make him fast enough to open a time portal, go through time. But you don't need him to be fast to make a time portal, because if you're fast enough, you don't need a time portal. You just need a straight shot of road, basically. They use the particle accelerator to run around, because it's a long, uninterrupted stretch that they can just run until they build up the speed to punch through the time stream. But you don't need to shoot a particle in there to open the time portal. They do it without that all the time. So I'm sure Thawne can do it. If Hunter Zolomon can do it, Eobard Thawne can do it. Come on now. But yeah, he exists because, he's Tom Cavanaugh because he's Harrison Wells. This Reverse Flash from season 2 is Matt Letcher, because that's what Eobard Thawne originally looked like before he disguised himself as Tom Cavanaugh. That's very important to remember. Now, I guess I should put season 3, huh? Eobard Thawne's involvement in season 3 isn't really that major. I mean, he basically sets everything off, because at the end of season 2, Barry goes back to stop him from killing his mother, which kicks off Flashpoint. Eobard Thawne is in that timeline, in that future, being held prisoner by Barry Allen, which I have to say is the most heroic thing I've ever seen anybody do. They fix it, they go back, but remembering that this Eobard Thawne is the Eobard Thawne that would eventually become he's still Matt Letcher here, but he would eventually become Tom Cavanaugh if he stayed in that timeline. But they go back, he corrects the timeline, he kills Nora Allen, and he uses his knowledge to go and fuck around on Legends of Tomorrow. Now, I haven't watched Legends of Tomorrow, but I do know that he is eventually tracked down and ostensibly killed by the Black Flash, which is what happens to Hunter Zolomon after he's defeated in The Flash Season 2. So, the Eobard Thawne that has knowledge of Flashpoint and the original timeline and the new timeline, like Timeline B, that the show actually takes place on, because Timeline A was erased at the very beginning of the show, is killed. He is erased. He is Dunskies. He's deleted. Because he's not supposed to exist. He keeps time traveling. It gets the attention of the Speed Force, so they send the Black Flash after him. Fair enough, right? He's not supposed to exist because he was erased. Fine, sure, whatever. I kind of want to talk about Savitar too, but I'll talk about that in the future as well, because more videos, more money. Anyway, so that's season 3, I guess, spilling into Legends of Tomorrow season 2, I think it was. And now we get to Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is season 4 of The Flash, that is. Crisis is this crossover event that they did 2 years ago, where a bunch of Nazis came from Earth 53, which is ostensibly called Earth X, and they plan to invade the planet. Thawne says in the first part, we came here to conquer this Earth, or have you forgotten that? But what they actually came to do was get Supergirl's heart and perform a transplant, because Overgirl from their Earth was dying of a heart disease, like Goku or some shit like that. That's not the important part. The important part is that this Eobard Thawne is Tom Cavanaugh, which would have to mean, because that version of the Eobard Thawne doesn't exist anymore, that this is at least the same version of the character from season 2. This is a version of the character that has learned about the Flash and gone back to get a Harrison Wells face. But you can't tell me that he got the same Harrison Wells from Earth 1, because if he got Harrison Wells' face, then that means Timeline B, Eobard Thawne never got Harrison Wells' face. So, what? Because if he never got Harrison Wells' face, he can't do the events of season 1. It just won't work because he's not Harrison Wells. And it's not the same version of the character from Timeline B because he doesn't exist anymore. So the only logical explanation is that somehow, he learned about all of this shit and then went to a different Earth and got that Harrison Wells' face. But he can't have gone to Earth 2 or Earth 19 or Earth wherever the hell the Council of Wells are from. But the thing is, it's in the timeline that when the Reverse Flash goes back and learns what time period the Flash is from and learns who he is, he uses that information to go back in time to 15 years before the events of season 1 to try to kill him. Learning what he would learn in this trip to the past in season 2 would kickstart the entire series. I don't know how you expect to explain to me that he broke that cycle and just decided to wear Harrison Wells' face just to fuck with Barry, but and you could say, well, Matt Letcher wasn't available because I think he was doing Will and Grace or something like that at the time. Easy. Don't use Eobard Thawne, because as we've seen in the animated shows, there is a Barry Allen from Earth X that is a Nazi. You do not need to use Eobard Thawne when Barry Allen is already on that Earth and evil. And I guess they didn't want to do an evil Barry Allen because they had just gotten done doing that with Savitar, but it's like, look, man, I don't expect quality tier writing from the show anymore anyway. I'd be stupid to expect that. So I just don't care. I don't care. Just do it smart. But now we come to season 5, where he is trapped in prison in the year 2049, being held there with the help of Cicada's antimatter-powered metahuman gene dampening dagger. How did he get caught? Why is he on death row? And why? Because here's the thing, right? He's not from 2049. He's from like 25 some shit, right? So his crimes, like, there has to be like a statute of limitations on the crimes that he committed in like the first season, catching up to him 50 years later. And yeah, how was he actually, like, how did they physically capture him? Because I don't think they just threw the dagger at him while he was running. That doesn't make any sense. His whole plan to send Nora back and change the timeline doesn't make any sense. But here's something that's very important to remember. Eobard Thawne teaches Nora Allen how to access the negative Speed Force, which is where he supposedly draws his power from. There's parallels in the fact that when they both use their eyes, when they both start using the negative Speed Force, their eyes glow red, right? Signifying that they're drawing their power from the same place. Eobard is having Nora trigger changes in the timeline, but he's also shielding himself from changes in the timeline by using the negative speed force, because as he says, it shields you from changes in the timeline. So if that's the case, the dagger wouldn't disappear. It's strapped to his body, which is shielded from the changes in the timeline. So no matter what he changes in the past, that dagger isn't going to go anywhere. It's still going to be strapped to his chest. But if he draws his power from the negative speed force, which protects him from changes in the timeline, then how come back here, when he killed Barry's mother and erased the Flash, he didn't keep his powers? The negative speed force shields you from changes in the timeline. He changed the timeline and lost his powers and got stuck in the past. Well, the negative speed force wouldn't exist without the speed force. Still, its entire purpose is to shield you from its effects when changing the timeline. I don't really get that. But apart from that, as I've explained before, his whole plan doesn't really make any sense. Maybe I'll come back to it in the future and do, again, a video about that. I don't know. That's up to you guys if that's what you want. But I just thought I'd sit down and share with you all how Eobard Thawne just doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. Now, I don't know if he's appeared on season 6 of The Flash yet. I really just haven't been watching. But as up to season 5, that's everything I know about Eobard Thawne on the show. And it just isn't adding up. Thanks for listening to me ramble for 16 minutes. I'll see you very soon.